deep in the heart of Texas.
We're in the business of winning.
Don't bet against me.
I don't bet anyway.
Lose your life.
Hello everyone, Michael Jordan fans are the best, and today we're going to be having two debates for you. The first being Kyrie Irving versus LeBron James, followed by a debate between Michael Jordan versus Bill Russell, and who's greater. Let's see, start inviting guests up if I can do that. Let's see. We got NB Sports here, invite. Welcome NB Sports. How are you today, sir?
What's up? Can you hear me okay?
I can.
All right, cool.
Yep. So just waiting on T Perfect here. But you will be arguing for Kyrie Irving on who you think is greater. What do you think about that?
Who had the greater 2016 finals performance? Yeah.
Yes.
Feeling good about it, actually. I know I'm kind of in the minority here, but I think there's a much better case than people realize or maybe understand.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome, T Perfect.
Yo, what's up, gentlemen?
All right. So we haven't discussed this prior, but I know, Nick, you like to go first. T Perfect, do you have a preference before I decide who chooses?
I mean, if Nick wants to go first, that's totally fine with me. I really don't mind.
Alrighty. What are your thoughts on this debate, T Perfect, before we get into it and get it going? Well, actually, do you have a judge coming, or?
Yeah, I told I told Roe and Herm.
Mm-hmm. If not, I'll judge. Do a chat poll, and I thought Rex was coming, but I'm not sure what's going on with that. But if not, anyway, I
do want to say I'm taking a hard position again. So I feel like kind of we do a lot of these like all-time debates. So I think someone kind of sticking their neck out there a little bit makes it a little more interesting on the topics that we're debating or covering. I'm looking for a little mercy a little bit here because I know this is a hard one to argue.
Oh, I completely agree. I kind of feel like I was with Durant and Larry Bird a little bit there.
Yeah, exactly. I think to make these more interesting, I think someone's got to kind of go out on a limb a little bit and get a little interesting with it. So
I can't wait to see what you got, man.
Yeah.
Nice. Team speech.
What's up, guys?
How's it going, man?
It's going.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So it's NMB versus T Perfect?
For the opener at the top of the hour, it'll be me versus Tony Styles. Just to do that debate, but
Got it.
I can't wait to see that debate.
Yeah,
it should be good. But I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee. If we'll wait for what was that?
I don't know.
Damn, I don't know what that was.
But T Perfect. Well, actually, I don't know how to do this, but if just let me know if Herm comes in. I'll have my headset on, but I'll be right back in a cup of coffee.
Okay, yeah, I just messaged him.
Yeah, if you guys want to just keep the conversation going for a second, I'll be right back.
This is gonna be crazy, man. Like, obviously, I think that it's like one of those underdog things, but I know that Nick's gonna come with maybe an unusual argument.
I'm not expecting to win this one, but I do think I think there's a lot there actually that maybe people don't realize. But I've always felt this way about this particular specific topic, that I think Kyrie was a big difference maker. He was kind of the X factor in why they won that series, and of course we'll get into it.
Absolutely. What's up, Ro? How's it going? What are your initial thoughts on this matchup?
Well, I know the debaters. I don't know the subject. And so what is the subject? I was thinking of whether should I wait till y'all start debating or.
Oh yeah, no. Just so you know, it's so who had the better, I guess, more impactful or just better all around finals performance? We're going to shape it how we want between Kyrie and LeBron in 2016.
All righty. Okay, that's an interesting one. I've been looking at that series lately and going over it. So that's a very interesting one. So I'm excited to see what you guys, what arguments you guys make.
Yeah, I actually went back and rewatched every game the last couple of days.
Oh wow. Highlights are the whole game. I'm like, that's a lot of time.
The whole game. I mean, I had it on 2 times speed, and of course, I was able to fast forward through the commercials and halftime and all that. Of course, so it was very condensed. But I mainly was also focusing on just Kyrie and Steph and LeBron. So if they weren't on, I could fast forward and all that kind of stuff. But the reason why I did it is because this one guy who follows you, or he might even be in the chat, called 11 Ring Standard, I think.
Yeah. I
kind of given him some of the things we'll get into, and he kind of was saying, well, actually, the reason why Curry did so bad was XYZ, and you should go back and rewatch the series. And so I was like, all right, bet, I'll go back and rewatch
it. Yeah. Did Herm answer you or no? Perfect.
You're muted.
Oh, sorry. No, yeah, he hasn't responded to me.
All right. We will not wait on him. We'll just put up a vote for the chat at the end of this. Yeah, because who knows how long, if at all, he'll come. So, debaters, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty. Well, there'll be a 10-second primer. NMB Sports, you'll be going first to argue who had the better finals performance, and to be outside of the aspect of, just to clarify, outside of the aspect of it being a voted on award, who should have won finals MVP, in other words. So just who had the best series in the 2016 NBA finals between Kyrie Irving and LeBron James. Are you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. It'll be a 10-second primer, and we'll be starting after that now.
Three, two, one.
All right. To set the stage, I will use one of the most common phrases in basketball, and that is, basketball is a game of matchups. I want people to keep that in mind going forward. It's kind of the crux of my argument. To understand what I mean, I want people to go back to the 2016 finals and regular season. The Warriors went 73-9 and had a strong playoff performance, although they did struggle a little bit in the Western Conference Finals with the Thunder, who were ascending at that time, and they had been to a finals previously. The motor or reason why the Warriors were so good was because of Steph Curry, full stop. This is the year he won the unanimous MVP and was an absolute matchup nightmare. He averaged 30 points per game, 50% from the field, 45 from 3, and 91 from the free throw line, putting him in the 50-40-90 club. He had a 63 effective field goal percentage, led the league in true shooting, was first in PER. He even chipped in 7 assists and 5 rebounds for a point guard. He even led the league in steals per game and steals overall. It is not an exaggeration to say that he was first or second in about 90% of all stats or analytics that year. Truly one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen, bar none. This is who Kyrie Irving was tasked to guard. And I also want to make clear who Steph Curry also had to guard whenever he was on the defensive end. While LeBron James did a little bit to a lot of everything while leading his team in essentially every stat, you could say that he was the motor of the Cavs. But Irving, in my humble opinion, was the reason why they won that series. LeBron James was not given a task or job as difficult as guarding Curry. And remember, there's two sides to the game, offense and defense. Irving winning the matchup with Steph Curry was ultimately the difference in the series that propelled the Cavs to win that series. Further, this allowed LeBron James to do what he does best, which is to be free and roam around the court with his athleticism and physicality, whether it be in the fast break or help side defense. Just some quick stats on Kyrie Irving compared to LeBron, right? For his team in the series, Kyrie as a point guard was third in blocks. He was fifth overall in the series between the two teams. He was second in assists, fourth overall in the series. He was second in steals for his team and second overall in the series. He was first in free throw percentage, first in three-point percentage, tied with Green, and overall was more efficient than LeBron. He even had a better offensive rating than LeBron. He had a better true shooting percentage, three-point percentage, free throw percentage, and as I mentioned, offensive rating compared to LeBron in that series, making him more efficient. And also, LeBron had the most turnovers with 31, followed by Curry with 30, which is largely in part to Kyrie Irving. And Irving was third overall in turnovers that year, or that series, with 18, a massive drop-off. Just wanted to point out how...
Okay, guys, so I'm glad my opponent actually brought up the kind of the crux of the argument, which is that Kyrie outplayed Steph Curry and was kind of responsible for his drop in production, which he did outplay him, and that's true. But and again, I'm going to get to exactly the meat and potatoes and the context behind that, which is really the only argument that Kyrie has for being, for being more impactful. But we're going to go through all of it, the factors there, and the overall impact and totality of the performance here. Okay, that's what needs to happen when we're comparing these two players, specifically two teammates in the same series. Okay. So who was better in the finals? It's LeBron. It's not even close. Okay. LeBron averaged 29.7, 11.3 rebounds, 8.9 assists, along with his elite defense, which we will discuss thoroughly in later rounds. Okay. When we get to either side of the ball. Right now, we're just going to be comparing their stats and the impact of that, just to really kind of a baseline comparison for these players, okay? So again, he had 2.6 steals, 2.3 blocks, and again, LeBron became the first player ever to lead both teams in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks, all five major categories for an entire series, okay? Kyrie was fantastic, 27, 4, and 4, but his production doesn't touch LeBron's all-time dominance. And again, I'm not hanging my hat on the stat line. We're going to get into the actual impact, okay, and how that resolved the series. Historically, though, only 6 players have ever averaged at least 29 and 11 in a final series. However, among them, LeBron is the only player in NBA Finals history to average at least 29 and 11, along with at least 8 assists. If you lower the bar to players who average 27 and 4, like Kyrie Irving, that list expands to 16 players. So LeBron blew past that threshold. Okay. So again, just in a quick summation, be a little bit shorter round for me, but Kyrie Irving had a great series. He was impactful. Again, he was doing his part as a sidekick. And make no mistake, he was the second option, though. LeBron had maybe the greatest statistical finals ever recorded. And again, this is just to establish the dominance of the baseline stats. And again, how that will translate into impact on both sides of the ball. Believe me, we will break it down. And I yield the rest of my time.
Okay. I'm going to get into the specifics. I'm going to use this extra time. I'm going to get in the specifics of the matchup of Curry versus Kyrie Irving's defense mainly. I had a guy at 11 Ring Standard. He kind of said the reason that the Cavs did so well on Curry was because they ran blitzes at him, essentially aggressive traps or aggressive containment off of pick and rolls, that kind of thing, right? I went back and watched the entire series, and that is not what happened. Every so often, yes, they would shade the switch defender, and they would kind of do a soft trap sometimes, not very often. but largely the defender, whoever was guarding Curry, would either have to fight through the pick or they would switch completely and be left up to like Kevin Love or Tristan Thompson, something like that. And so that is to say that the majority of the time of people who were guarding Curry, Kyrie Irving was more responsible than anyone else. The Cavs at most from time to time would switch defenders. Again, as I kind of said, the guy who was guarding Curry would have to stay with him, and that was Kyrie Irving. Essentially, Kyrie was guarding Curry more than anyone and was doing it a lot. I went back to see exactly how much Steph scored on Kyrie. And I understand there's some margin of error in here in terms of who you might put the blame on. If there's like if Curry scores, who exactly is responsible. But essentially, out of the 158 total points that Curry scored, only about 55 of those were on Kyrie Irving, which is a staggering defensive effort. You're looking at about 8 points per game that Curry actually scored on Kyrie Irving. And this is, again, everyone needs to keep in mind, this is the year that Curry won a unanimous MVP and was averaging 30 points per game and was in the 50-40-90 club. He was an absolute monster. Curry was held to under 20 points in 4 of the 7 games, including an 11-point performance in Game 1. And in Curry's 38-point performance in Game 4, I could only put about 6 points on Kyrie that he gave up. In Steph Curry's 25-point game performance in Game 5, I have Kyrie giving up 9 points. And in Curry's 30-point performance in Game 6, I have about 8 points that Kyrie gave up. Kyrie Irving was covering 94 feet, baseline to baseline, guarding 2 of the best shooters we have ever seen. If he wasn't guarding Curry, he was guarding Klay Thompson or maybe someone like Sean Livingston, who had a great series in his own right, considering he was coming off the bench. Again, he was running through traffic. He was fighting off screens. He was probably expending more energy than anyone on the floor during that series, having to chase Curry around. And then also, I'm going to get into next round, essentially, Kyrie Irving's job as well was to headhunt Steph Curry. And Tyronn Lue and Shumpert are on record, as well as several others, saying that essentially it was Kyrie Irving's job to go after Steph Curry. And again, this is making Curry work even more, right? And if your guy is beating you on both ends of the floor for unanimous MVP, that begins to compound and have exponential effects going forward in the series.
1.
So a lot of is made of the fact that Kyrie did outplay Steph Curry at times, both statistically and late in games. Hey, no one's trying to take that away from him, but defensively, as you know, my opponent alluded to and kind of skipped over, Kyrie had plenty of help. Cleveland did use aggressive ball pressure, frequent switching, and targeted Steph on offense to wear him down. Kyrie wasn't single-handedly locking down anyone. He was part of a team-wide LeBron-led defensive strategy. Now, speaking of LeBron, let's talk about him because his was a completely different level. Say what you want about the claim that LeBron can guard all 5 positions, but in this series, he really did and did it at a high level. According to ESPN.com, he spent 45% of his time at small forward, 25% of the time at power forward, 20% of the time at the point guard and shooting guard defensive positions, and 10% of the time guarding center. Okay, this is unmatched defensive versatility. Again, and we're going to talk about how that impacted. LeBron also joined the elite 15-15 club out of players who recorded at least 15 steals and 15 blocks in a single final series. Only 4 players have ever done it. Okay, now how does this impact or translate to actual impact? Okay, with LeBron on the floor, the Warriors scored just 104 points per 100 possessions. With him off of it, they scored 122. LeBron posted a minus 18 defensive on-off for the series, meaning the Cavs were 18 points better defensively when he played. Since the NBA started tracking that particular stat in 1997, LeBron's minus 18 for a final series ranks as the best all time. Juxtapose that to Kyrie Irving, who posted a plus 16 defensive on-off. Again, that's the worst of any starter in NBA Finals history, again, since that stat was tracked. Those numbers speak loudly. They show that while Kyrie had his moments against Steph defensively, as my opponent mentioned, it was the unsung heroes who played serious minutes, guys like Iman Shumpert and Matthew Dellavedova, who were really giving Steph fits. Okay, both of them wildly outperformed Kyrie in that stat as well. And even Kyrie's defense, again, it's was completely. Again, need some context there. Again, in summation, LeBron had a historically impactful series on the defensive end by any and all measurements I've just given you. Meanwhile, Kyrie, while also contributing, especially from the offensive perspective, like we covered and gave him full credit for, was basically along for the ride on that end, and also, according to all the numbers, again, was often a liability. And no, you can't blame it on two-way responsibility. LeBron played over 41 minutes a game, easily the most ever, and was still the best player on both ends.
3, 2.
Okay, so I do want to reiterate that I went back and watched the entire series, and I kind of have to hard disagree on the team effort part. Don't get me wrong, of course it's a team sport. I'm not saying that, but there was not exactly, again, watching the series, the most that they ever did was that the switch defender would kind of shadow or stay with Curry a little longer. But there really was no hard press or trap, essentially meaning that whoever was guarding Curry or whoever switched onto Curry largely was kind of ultimately in the end of the play was left in a one-on-one matchup. And for Shumpert and these other guys, when they were guarding Curry, Curry cooked them compared to Kyrie Irving. Again, in a one-on-one matchup where I could find Kyrie Irving being responsible for guarding Steph Curry, he only gave up about 8 points per game to Steph Curry, which is an insane number if you think about how good Curry was that year. I would also argue that LeBron's numbers were allowed to flourish because of a lot of the dirty work and the energy that Kyrie Irving was expending on both ends of the floor. Now, look, I'm not going to take away from LeBron's series. He had an absolutely incredible series, right? Statistically on paper and in the tangibles, right? Absolutely 100%. But without Irving winning that matchup with Steph Curry, this series goes a very different way, in my opinion. Irving essentially took Curry out of the game largely when he was on the floor and won that matchup handily. And as much as you want to complain about the plus 16 or whatever, Kyrie Irving was essentially more efficient than LeBron on the offensive end. Again, LeBron has a lot of sets run from him, a lot of looks for him. The offense does in a way revolve around him. And, for Kyrie sometimes to get a shot, it's 5 seconds to go and you have to do something with it or something of that nature where looks aren't necessarily given to Kyrie Irving per se. And I also want to get to the historical block, right? This is one of my favorite talking points, right? This kind of sums up a little bit in a good synopsis of what I'm trying to say. LeBron James' block gets kind of, in my opinion, overglazed, right? Great play, yes, great energy swing and all that kind of thing. Great motivation for your team. With or without that block, if Andre Iguodala makes that layup, Kyrie Irving still comes down and hits the game winner. The block is almost irrelevant on the scoreboard or in actual real terms because Kyrie Irving is going to hit that shot and he essentially wins the game 7 for the Cavaliers, right? And so just in a synopsis here, essentially Kyrie Irving is doing the dirty work. He has the hardest matchup. If he's not guarding Curry, he's guarding Klay Thompson. He is doing all of the dirty work and expending all of the energy necessary to let LeBron have the series that he had. In my opinion, Irving wins the game of matchups, which is what basketball is almost all about.
So I'm glad my opponent brought up the offensive side of it too, because we've already established that LeBron's presence on the defensive end was historically great, and that's again by any measurement you want. You want to do raw stats, impact, advanced analytics. He clears that. And Kyrie was historically bad. Now obviously there's a lot of context to that, sure, but again, it's overwhelmingly in LeBron's favor. But let's talk about the offensive side of the ball. And no, LeBron was significantly better than Kyrie. He created far more offense, 9 assists to Kyrie's 4, even though Kyrie was oftentimes the primary ball handler. He generated over 48% of Cleveland's total offense through scoring and playmaking. In NBA Finals history, this has been accomplished just 6 times, and LeBron is responsible for 3 of those instances. LeBron was also more efficient than Kyrie in terms of overall field goal percentage and true shooting. So LeBron was also putting up these efficient historic numbers against the 5th best defense in the NBA, anchored by guys like Draymond Green, who was the DPOI runner-up that year, Andre Iguodala, defensive specialist, lanky defenders like Harrison Barnes. And make no mistake, this offense on defense rather, was tailored and became tailored to stop LeBron James, not Kyrie Irving. Okay. Now, how about the fourth quarter? And where it really matters, LeBron scored 57 fourth quarter points in the series compared to Kyrie's 36. Okay. LeBron's 57 fourth quarter points are the third highest ever in a final series, trailing only Shaq in 2000 and that same Steph Curry in 2015. Okay. When you compare overall performance, defensive responsibility, offensive creation, clutch production, and actual impact that you can and we did measure, the answer is clear. Kyrie Irving has iconic moments. Absolutely. Fantastic support. Again, generational, talent. Maybe his best series ever. LeBron had iconic control, though. LeBron was the Cavs' best everything. Scorer, passer, best defender, best rim protector, best rebounder, best playmaker, and best performer. He just didn't have the better, or he didn't just have the better finals performance. He had one of the greatest finals performances ever. And so in the end, when we're talking about who was better, Kyrie was good, but LeBron was objectively not just better than Kyrie Irving on that in the finals, but objectively when it stacks up to all-time greats, he clears most of them as well. And so again, with that, I yield the rest of my time.
I guess, yeah, so I guess, okay, never mind. I was going to rant for another minute. You're muted, Dart.
So that's a fantastic debate. What I'm going to do is going to have King's speech, myself, and then I'm going to put a poll out for the chat for you to vote on who you thought won. So if you thought that Nick won NMB Sports arguing for Kyrie Irving, please hit the smile face. If you think T Perfect, who is arguing for LeBron James, won, hit the crying face. I'm going to put that up right now. It's a 1-minute poll. That's going to be considered the third judge, the tiebreaker in this. But Ro, what did you think about this debate? Who do you have winning and why?
All right, you put me on the spot first. That's all good. That's all good, Dart. So yeah, let's listen. This is a great debate. Really, I believe that what I was listening for in this debate is, if I had to basically read what you guys are saying or hear what you're saying to determine my own vote, if I had to vote for MVP. And Nick, in the opening round, you came out with a really good point. You came out with really good foundation. That's why I like the hearing first rounds to set the foundation of the argument. I like to to the chat. Judge this. Judge this objectively, just based on what you see, what you heard from the. If you didn't know anything about the 16 finals, well, Nick made a really good start, basically talking about Kyrie Irving's defensive impact and his clutch impact, right? And so I gave him the first round. But Nick, you were fighting an uphill battle, and T Perfect came and I will the highlights that he gave, basically showing LeBron's responsibility, speaking about the percent of time he was guarding shooting guards and point guards, right? And I think in the last round, just with the way he laid out LeBron's offensive dominance, he got back to the offensive side of the ball. Because that, obviously that is what won the series. That's pretty much what. And look, both of these guys had a case. So I will say, Nick, you did a great job. You had an uphill battle to climb, but Travis was able to lay out LeBron's case just a little bit better. And based on the stats and the numbers that we know, the impact, the overall impact, he even, like I said, he even laid out his defensive impact. I think you don't win this finals without both of these guys, and you don't win this finals without playing Steph Curry to a drop. And I think basically both of you guys showed it. Both of your players had an impact on that. LeBron just had a little bit more, and I'll go with LeBron. I would have voted for LeBron based on T Perfect's argument. So it's 2-1 T Perfect. So on you, Dart.
All right, I just want to let everyone know that Nick T Perfect has officially won the debate as of this with the audience poll getting a 5-1 win. But I have a lot of the same sentiments as Roe. I thought, Nick, you came out really strong in the first round, and you talked about the matchup and why that was important, how great Steph Curry was, being the unanimous MVP, the regular season, and that basketball is a game of matchups, and that he enabled LeBron to be as dominant otherwise. And then T Perfect came in that round and talked about a lot of the stat dominance. I do think that Nick had a little bit more conviction in why what Kyrie Irving did against Steph Curry was more important. For the second round, Nick followed up and started talking about how defensively he was impactful on Steph Curry, and he re-emphasized how he did this on the unanimous MVP, how he was held under 20 points 4 out of 7 games, and then talking about some of the qualitative things on defense, playing full court defense against Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and how they would specifically put Kyrie on that. T Perfect, in your second round, you had I think a very strong second round, talking about how LeBron covered all 5 positions, the 15-15 club, the impact on-off scores. But the one thing you said, I don't have the evidence right in front of my face, but at the end of it, you said, or what I heard was you said that LeBron played 41 minutes per game, and that was the most ever. For
that series. Sorry.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, that makes sense, because I was like, that's a wild claim.
And there's a lot more than Will, I know that.
Yeah, okay. So Nick started, and then in the third round, Nick came out and kind of circled around on how his help defense against Curry was great. Kyrie took Curry out on the floor. LeBron's historical block wasn't as impactful because Kyrie was really the one who finished off that series with that 3-point shot. And T Perfect came in that last round and talked about how he generated 48% of the scoring. That was the highest 3 out of 4 times in NBA history. Fourth quarter points, all of these things. I got to say, I'd give it 2-1 to T Perfect. I think just and like was said in the beginning of this, it was an uphill battle. I think potentially, if you were able to try and stick T Perfect in a corner, Nick, and have him answer the individual things that LeBron did, you may have had a better opportunity. But I liked your approach to the argument. I think and you did stick on the Steph Curry taking him out. And I don't know, man. I don't know if I could have done it. I'm just saying, like, I think in the last round, if you could have locked that in somehow, but it's just T Perfect just had so much more information and evidence to argue that was tangible. It was a hard argument, but I thought it was a great debate. And as said in the beginning, I thought that you taking this debate and arguing that side was great. Anyway,
for sure.
Debaters, what do you got to say about this? Nick, what do you got to say?
Yeah, I wanted to follow up on the defensive part, in that I don't feel that LeBron's defensive contributions were anything close to what Kyrie did on the floor. I don't think anyone's defensive contributions on either team were anywhere near what Kyrie did in terms of stifling Curry. Essentially, to hold him when he's guarding him to 8 points per game. He's under 20 points in 4 of the 7, and even when Curry went off, he was cooking everyone else. And Kyrie Irving, again, when Curry scored that 38-point game, only 6 of those points were on Kyrie Irving, right? And I think, again, it's sort of like, I was trying to think of an analogy earlier, but it's kind of like Emmitt Smith, right? Running behind those Cowboys offensive lines in the 90s, right? Emmitt Smith gets all the glory, but I mean, really it's Larry Allen, right? Clearing the hole and opening the hole for him. And that's kind of how I kind of thought of it, is that, without Kyrie Irving essentially taking on the what might be the hardest matchup in all the NBA that year, and not just kind of winning it, not just having a toss-up, but in my opinion, clearly getting the better of Steph Curry, I think it allows everything else to fall into place. And again, what is LeBron best at? LeBron is best when he can just roam around, whether it's on defense or in the fast break, and he can use his physicality and athleticism and pick his spots, and kind of he gets to mentally sort of be free and not have to worry about expending all this energy on the defensive end and things like that, right? Kyrie Irving is chasing Steph Curry around 94 feet baseline to baseline, running through double screens, and essentially having, in my opinion, I think he left the most out on the floor compared to anyone else. I think he expended more energy than everyone, both mentally and physically. And I think ultimately him taking Curry out of that series is what won it, is what allowed everything else to kind of fall into place. Oh, and then one last thing is, Kyrie Irving had an incredible offensive series. He only averaged like 2.5 points less than LeBron. The steals are similar. I know he had only like 4 assists to LeBron's 8 or 9. But again, Curry had his lower usage percentage, right? The offense is not necessarily drawn up for Steph Curry. Yes, he's the ball handler, he's the point guard, but a lot of that is just facilitating and getting guys in the right spots. And, again, going back, I watched the whole series. LeBron is getting a lot of breakaways. He's getting a lot of easy dunks because of these long threes and outlets and missed shots by the Warriors on the outside, right? LeBron got a lot of easy looks, or a lot of easier looks, because of what Kyrie was doing. And I know it's one of those things, like you were kind of mentioning tangible things. I can't really point to a stat that proves that. But in my opinion, the fits that Irving gave Curry, it's like a snowball. Now he's missing shots. Now the Cavs are running, right? Well, now the Warriors are struggling to put up points, and the confidence of the Cavs is beginning to grow, right? So I kind of just want to say with that, I think that I just don't think that, again, offensively, LeBron, it's hard to argue against, right? But defensively, I just don't think anyone came close to making the difference that Kyrie Irving did.
All right. T Perfect, how'd you think you did in the debate? I will be right back. So if I'm off screen, just continue the conversation after this. But T Perfect, how do you think you did during this debate? And, well, actually, prior to that, if there's going to be a debate at the top of the hour between me and Tony Styles, between who's greater, Michael Jordan and Bill Russell. If you want to hang around for the conversation or come back, then please do.
Is it on here?
It's on here, yeah.
Okay, good. I think I did okay. Like I said, this one is just such an overwhelming. Like, you have so much brought on the table to use, and this is one of the harder arguments, I think. I think Nick made a couple of fantastic points, especially just now. And I would almost tend to agree with them. It's just that, like, the numbers, the advanced data, like, there's so much of a feast to throw at, when you're doing a debate in this particular case, right? It's a very easy lane to go down. I think the trick is really just to dig down under the stats, because, you can kind of argue around the stats and be like, okay, he's facing maybe things like that. But, I think I did a good job of actually kind of outlining the impact, especially numerically, things like that. But, I'd say it's probably one of the, more lopsided just comparisons. But I really like that Nick, brought a lot, basically what things you don't think about beyond just like the kind of matchups and, just things that really do. Yeah, but I think that I used what was given to me effectively, and I would have been ashamed of myself if I didn't.
Yeah, I see 11 Ring Standard in the chat. Like, I went back and watched the whole series, so he just keeps kind of reiterating that. You just have to watch the film, and it's clear that LeBron was this or that. And it's like, well, I actually went back and watched it. Maybe he can make a video on it or something. But again, I went back and watched the entire series, and like what he was saying about them blitzing Steph Curry, I didn't really find to be true. I don't think it had a lot of merit to it. There was no aggressive trapping or like containment or blitzing Steph Curry. A, Steph Curry is a great ball handler and he's quite slippery. And B, if he gets by you, you have Klay Thompson sitting over there on the wing, or even a Draymond Green roaming around within 15 feet. It just would have been a bad strategy, I think, to press Steph Curry, especially once you do it once or twice and he knows it's coming. I think that would have been a horrible idea for them to do. And I went back and watched it, and there was no blitzing, like there was no hard trap, there was no pressing Curry. at most, sometimes what they would do is, again, the switch defender would kind of hover around and give Irving or Shumpert or whoever, might give them an extra time to get there. And maybe, yes, maybe once once the play is developed long enough, maybe they do just stay out there on Curry. But it was nothing more than a soft containment, a soft trap. There was no like hard press on Curry. I didn't really see any of that, to be honest.
So when Dart comes, Dart's right back. So Dart, I got a question, right? You see, so I see how Travis yielded time in 2 debates, right? I mean, 2 of his rounds.
Yeah.
Could have NMB, like he had 15 seconds. Could he have used that 15 seconds that Travis yielded to get one last win? Because I will say this. No, I will say this. I think NMB also was at a disadvantage going first. Where again, when you're the underdog in a debate, you might want to get some rebuttals in. So, like, could he have used that last 15 seconds just to get one last thought in? Being we are doing a 18-minute debate.
Yeah, but I don't think that would have made a difference, to be honest.
Yeah,
and
I'm sure
I usually like going first too.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, that's something that I haven't come across. So, I mean. Yeah, I guess
Travis
you could.
He left me like 30 seconds in that second round, and I took it.
30 seconds. You took, and that's the thing, because he left you the 30 seconds, and you took advantage of it. You took that and used it as extra time for your round.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Like if your opponent,
I'm a generous god like that.
Hey, I mean, but yeah,
and again, 11 ring standards asking me what a blitz looked like. It's essentially a hard press or trap off of a pick and roll, right? Like the switch defender essentially stays with the defender that was originally on the ball, and it's like a trap. It's a hard press, or it's some kind of aggressive movement when a pick and roll comes. I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be off a pick and roll, but essentially once the pick and roll happens, you both sort of press the ball handler. I mean, that's essentially what it is.
By the way, speaking of 11 ring standard, have any of you analytics guys heard of the term Darko?
As an analytic, no.
Okay, all right. So we know we're dealing with 11 ring standard. I mean, when he told me Darko, I was thinking Milicic. I don't know, like one of the worst second picks of all time. I don't know.
Bro, it sounds like you need to debate this guy at some point.
Yeah, I don't challenge them. Like I said, we can do anything impromptu at any time, but I know
this is where debates live.
I got it right here. Darko is a basketball analytics system designed to project player performance and game outcomes. It stands for Daily Adjusted and Regressed, Kalman Optimized, and utilizes a combination of box score statistics and plus-minus metrics to create predictive models.
Wait, is it C or a K?
With a K.
So what does K stand for again?
The K stands for Kalman, Kalman, optimized.
Okay, and then Kalman is another analytics guy, right?
The guy who developed this was Kostya Medvedovsky, some kind of like Russian Eastern European name.
Gotcha. So you're basically mathematicians talking basketball. I mean,
it sounds almost something like box plus minus with like in win shares or some kind of thing like that.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like I said, analytics has its place, but if you come at me with analytics, like I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not like if you look, there's no perfect analytic, there's no perfect way of looking at the game. Like defense, that's the other thing about defense. There's no stat or group of stats that can quantify defense. You have to use your eyes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look. So there's all people can use whatever they want. That's and I will say this to the audience. Like I said, this was an objective debate. I mean, most of us agree. I think 99% of maybe even 95% of the public, outside of like Kyrie fans, agree that LeBron probably deserved the MVP. You know what I'm saying? But to be objective, it wasn't like Kyrie had no case, because again, he did make the clutch shots. He was the better player in the clutch. Had 41 point, 17 of 24. I mean, they don't win without these things. I can say this again. You take LeBron off that team, you take Kyrie off that team. Golden State wins in 5, right? I mean, that's pretty obvious. So, and that's
Yeah, I think
even
that's
with
fair.
Curry and Clay playing as bad. So the fact of the matter is both players were needed to win that series. Everything was needed. You talk about the finals that went down to the last game, Game 7. It was a 3-1 comeback, but even with Curry playing horribly bad, and I think that's one of the things too, right? Curry was horribly bad. 17 points, 2 assists, 4 turnovers is just bad for a unanimous MVP, and that's why I thought MLB came out saying you limit you would take a hand in limiting the unanimous MVP. You give your team a chance to win, and that was Kyrie's best case. But like I said, at the end of the day, Bron's stats and just overall impact was just too hard to overcome.
Something else I should have got into too was kind of as the series goes on, a lot of the Cavs players and Tyronn Lue even mentioned how they were using Kyrie to go after Curry, right? So I mean he was making him work on the defensive end and on the offensive end. Shumpert even mentioned how they would run double, sometimes triple screens just to get Curry back onto Irving to make him work, right? To make him expend more energy. And again, in a 7-game series, right, it begins to snowball, right? If you're constantly looking for a guy on offense and going after him, and then you're also limiting him on the defensive end and expending, I think Kyrie Irving's energy, deserves a lot of respect and just for how much he left it out on the court and how much energy he had to expend on both ends.
Hey, Dart, I got a dip, man, but I'll be watching that debate for sure.
All right, T.
All right. Yep. Later.
Thanks, T. Perfect.
Yeah, Nick, we'll do it again.
Tony?
What's that?
Who's judging for you and Tony?
No one. It's just a debate. I don't want to go through that whole I don't want to.
I got you.
Yeah, it's just I'm actually
it's going to start at one. It's going to start at top of the hour.
Yeah, 10 minutes. So it's it's really just to have. I'll change the image for that too. It's really just to actually have that discussion. Not to say that he would have had an issue with it. I don't know. I just didn't want to. I didn't even want to go or even start that conversation of let me bring my guys over here kind of thing.
It's one of them. The streets will decide who won type of deal, right? Just to hopefully it gets some buzz and let the streets talk about who won. No official vote. Just
Yeah. But
I think with T Perfect really won when he proved that the Cavs were switching a lot. So therefore, and you did make a good point in MB with Kyrie Irving because so he proved that LeBron was basically playing center field, right? The roaming factor that we say, but he did prove that LeBron still did have a defensive impact. But you did make a good point with saying, Kyrie's on the perimeter, he has to go further defending. But like I said, I really think it was close. In my opinion, recently looking back on it, I think Kyrie had a case. I just still think LeBron's overall numbers and dominance and impact was too hard to overcome it. So
sure. I mean,
I think the voters got it right.
LeBron did have an all-time series too. There's no denying that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So it's one for those guys that say, "Hey, Jordan never won without Pippen." LeBron would have never, and that's the most important ring. Bringing that one to Cleveland was the one. That's the one that put a stamp on his legacy. If he doesn't get one to Cleveland, I don't care what you do in LA,
100%.
I don't care what you did with Miami, you wouldn't have been looked at the same way. And Kyrie, Kyrie was everything Pippen was and more when it came down to that particular run, and then in the next run as well. So shout out to Kyrie. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Hey, shout out to Fourth Quarter Steez. He's in the chat giving out gifts. Appreciate you, brother. Like your platform. I'll try to debate next Friday too. If I get a challenger, I got people calling me out for my takes, man.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Fourth Quarter. I see you sent me. I don't know what that is, but I'll take it. Go ×5. That's cool.
Yeah.
Salute.
Absolutely. But how do you guys see this debate between me and Tony Styles going?
I am very listen, man. You got the Bill Russell fanatic versus Michael Jordan fan of the best. I think this Bill Russell Michael Jordan discussion needs to happen. I really, listen. We all know that it seems like LeBron fans play the two of the GOATs against each other, and I have an open mind, and I'm interested to hear what the argument is. Tony Stout does do a great job debating for Bill Russell, and obviously, you're a Michael Jordan fan of the best. You do a great job, pointing out why Michael Jordan was the GOAT. So I'm down for it. I mean, these two guys are in my top three. Some people might know some people might know which is which, but again, if you're in my, I say this: if you're in my top 10, you're in a GOAT discussion, and everybody has a case. So
Yeah.
I'm very interested in hearing the cases.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Bill Russell.
All right. Well, I got stuff to do too. I appreciate you hosting again, Dart. It was fun.
Absolutely. We'll see you around next.
Salute, guys. I'll
Thanks,
drop down
man.
to the audience as well. I'll be listening in, and catch you later, bro.